All right, everyone, in this video, I am going to attempt to run all new tubing and steering cables for my Vibe Shearwater 125. If you've seen in my previous videos, I've had an issue with the tubing and the steering cables. The cables have been digging into the tubing and I think even the kayak itself, and it's just been adding a lot of additional friction to the steering system. It's made it difficult to steer. And I use a Bixby, so I'm really using the foot pedals a lot. So my hope is that doing this modification will, improve that for me. In all honesty, I've never done this to a kayak before, so this will absolutely be a learning experience for me. The materials and tools I'm using today, I've got 1/4 inch poly tubing that I got from the local hardware store. I think I've got 25 feet of it. Hopefully that's enough. I'm only doing the one set for the foot controls. 5 32nd stainless steel cable sleeves that I got from West Marine. And I'll have links to all this stuff in the description, the video description. And this is what I'm going to be using for my steering cables. I really wanted braided twine, but Amazon was sold out. So this is 400-pound, 100% DuPont Kevlar braided lines. And then for the tools, I've got a cordless drill and some assorted drill bits. I've got a lighter to heat up the poly tubing, a screwdriver, of course, to open up the compartments of the kayak if I need to. And this, I'm going to use this to cut the tubing to the size that I need. So with that, we're just going to try to figure this out together and see how it goes. So first things first, I'm going to just disconnect these clips that I've been using for the steering controls. All right, we'll just try to do the next one here. As tempting as it was to just cut that off, I feel like it's better practice just to power through it and untie them. Okay, good. So the next step will be to just pull the cable through. All right, so both lines are out. I feel like I need to open up these little hatches just to have access to the inside of the kayak in case I have to grab the tubing for some reason. I may not need to do this, but let's just do it just in case. All right, so now I'm just trying to locate the tubes. I've got this one here, and I'm just gonna see if I can't really pull them through because they're flared on the ends. And what's interesting is to look at this one. You can see it really was just starting to wear on the kayak, and you can see too, like the angle that these tubes are coming out at. It's going the wrong way. So for some reason, they were coming out at like the wrong angle. So we're gonna try to fix all that. All right, so here I've got a pair of wire snips, and I'm just gonna cut this flared end off this tube. Now I should be able to come over here and pull this through and get it out. I wanted to do like a test fitting on just a small piece first before I committed to like a whole section and started drilling out these holes even larger on the kayak. So what I want to do is I'm going to use the lighter, heat this up, and see if we can push that in there a little bit. See, it's like changing color a little bit. Again, never done this before, so I don't know how much heat is needed. That's just about how I wanted it. Yeah, if you're doing this, I would definitely say just go in little bursts. Like, take it easy, take your time. That seems pretty good. I can imagine that once that tubing gets room temperature, it's gonna be really like married to the cable sleeve. So let's just see for kicks like how it fits in. It's clearly not gonna fit into this hole here. So we're gonna really need to enlarge those holes. So what I want to do is figure out, this is 1/4 inch tubing, but I don't know that, I think that's the inner diameter. So just looking at these bits and the tube, it's gonna need to be a little bit bigger than that. I might need to go to a 3/8 bit, which, God, that seems kind of ridiculous, but it seems like that's gonna do it. Like, it'll be just big enough, but it seems like it's gonna stick out a little bit, which is kind of what I want. I want to prevent that flared end from falling into the kayak, so we don't really want it more than that. That seems like it's gonna do it. So we can start there. And now is the intimidating part. And you take your drill and you start putting holes, making bigger holes into your kayak. All right, what I want to do is actually use a smaller bit and work my way up so I don't tear the kayak up. So I'm going with, it looks like I'm going to try and start with a 5/16. Let's see if that fits. Yeah, 5/16 would probably be nice. And I'm trying to lay it down at an angle where whew, yeah, that is a scary prospect. Just for kicks, let's see how if that fits in there. Yeah, so the 5/16 does not fit in there. So we're gonna have to definitely enlarge that hole a little bit more. So again, I'm just trying to like use this as like a test piece, and there you go, it does fit. Yeah, and you can see like, I was kind of like committed to the angle that was there before, and it was kind of drilled out at sort of like at an angle, an undesirable angle. Hopefully this will improve that, even with, you know, with the cable sleeve. It's a good fit. I don't think I want to drill it out anymore. Just I don't want to risk it going inside the kayak, and that seems nice and tight. So let me just get that out, and that's the method we're gonna go with. All right, so I definitely effed up there a little bit. As you can see, I just put a little hole. It's also worth noting that I bought this kayak used, and so if you have a new kayak and you're doing this stuff, you're probably gonna void your warranty. So, you know, you have to be willing to accept that as a risk. I have I'm not too worried about that hole that I just made, because I have a really good plastic weld that I can put on there. And I will just try not to do that again, because this hole's got to get a little bigger. It's a little too tight. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. And it's hitting something. I think it's actually hitting, it's terminating up here. There we go. That'll do it. I'm just gonna go nice and easy. So all I'm doing there is I'm just kind of like changing the angle and letting the drill bit just remove just like a little bit more plastic. There you go. Bang. Perfect. That's not going anywhere. All right. So as you can see here, this little test piece does fit in there nicely. And I guess that means we can proceed with getting the tubing all the way through the kayak. So we'll start here. Start pushing that all the way towards the back of the kayak. It'll be easier to grab it at the stern. All right, I'm trying to guide it through. There's like supports where the scupper holes are. And I'm gonna try to get it around that. I think I've got it. Yeah, there it is. All right. So we got the tubing to come through. Grab a sleeve and a lighter. All right, that looks like it's gonna be pretty good. I'm kind of not crazy about that right there, but again, I have this plastic weld, which I'm gonna use on that, and I'm also gonna repair this little notch with that too. All right, so this is coming out, and I'm gonna try to like hold this tight, get the slack out of it. I'm just gonna take my glue here. All All right, so once I get this glued in, it seems like that would be the worst of it, right? Like from here, it's all about just running the new the Kevlar steering lines. All right, so it hasn't been a complete disaster. I made a few little mistakes. All in all, I'm fine with it. I think it should work, and they seem like they're solidly in place, so let's go ahead and try to get the steering lines in there. Hell, the Kevlar itself may actually just go through on its own. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's starting to get bunched up here. Oh, wait. Oh, didn't even need to do that. Oh, I didn't need to use the shop vac. Gotta admit, that makes me a little sad. All right, so I've got the back end of the kayak like propped up. I can tell that in the back end of the kayak, it's definitely better. It's like flowing. It's not catching there anymore. But, you know, big issue is these free flow pedals, man. They're just like super stiff. I know people say they loosen up over time. I've got these things cleaned and lubricated, and I've got, you know, like a white lithium grease on there, and they're just so freaking stiff. Now, when I'm on the water and they get wet and stuff, they seem to like loosen up, but you can see this is coming out here. I gotta really figure out how to secure that to the kayak, since, you know, I couldn't get it real as tight as I wanted to. But you know, like the issue in the back, it's fixed, but I can tell these pedals, man, they're just like, you can see I'm kind of like flexing the kayak to get them to work. So, you know, they're not great. The free flow pedals, they don't really flow freely, man. It's kind of a farce, in my opinion. So something to think about, but let me get it on the water and let you guys know what I really think. All right, you guys, here's an update on how this modification to the steering system has ultimately gone. I kind of stopped shooting the work I was doing because it was just getting so complicated, but the long and short of it is I've ultimately realized that the main source of my issues with the steering system was the free flow pedals that Vibe, you know, sent my way, which I appreciate, but these are just way better. These are bona fide foot braces and rails. They're made out of some kind of metal, and they just move a lot better. Today will be my first time testing them on the water, but I could just tell, like, testing them in the garage, that they just move way better and just steer the Bixby way better. In terms of the steering tubes that hold the steering cables, I ended up not putting stainless steel sleeves on this end. They are on the back end, and I'll show you that in a second, but I really wasn't able to get the tubes snug and tight inside the kayak with those stainless steel sleeves there. So on this end, I just did the, you know, kind of typical, you know, stretch it out, heat up the end, flare it, and then let it, you know, pull back into the kayak, which is fine. This end, it really wasn't digging into the kayak. It's a pretty straight shot to the pedal, so I'm just gonna leave that the way it is. And then moving back, here you can see the there are the stainless steel sleeves here, one on this side and then one on the other. I also realized that another reason why it was digging into the kayak more so on this side was that, you know, I enlarged the holes to accommodate these tubes, and you can see this one is like way more like offset, kind of canted up and to the right, and that was just sort of, it's more noticeable now that there's a larger tube there, and really all I did was, you know, enlarge the opening that, you know, Vibe had put in the kayak. So they put it in a weird spot, and, you know, again, that's just sort of further exaggerated by the work I did. But, you know, I think this should solve it. I put like a 2-part epoxy on here to hold these in place. Hopefully, you know, time will tell if those, you know, hold up. If they don't, I can always add some more 2-part epoxy or a different kind of, maybe like marine goop or something like that to hold them in place. But, you know, I'll get it on the water here in a second, and we'll see how it does. All right, so yeah, it's much better. Like it's turning a lot smoother. don't feel like I have to like ram my foot down as much to get it to go where I want it to go. Turning radius is pretty good. Looking at the foot braces, yeah, it feels a lot better. Like, and it, you know, the other, whatever foot brace you're not pushing on, essentially the other one just needs to be able to slide back. And as long as it can do that, you're gonna be able to steer the boat. You have to be able to pull the other one back. So anyways, hopefully this was helpful, and I'm gonna try to catch some bass now. If you have questions, just drop me a comment. I'll do my best to answer them. And yeah, that's all I got for now.